Okay, so hi, I'm delighted to be joined today by Patrick McMeekin. Patrick is UK and Ireland licensee for SeatServe. So Patrick, it's great to have you with us. Hope you can, I know you're going to be able to tell us all about SeatServe. So perhaps, for those people out there that don't already know about SeatServe, perhaps you could just give us an overview.
Sure. Hi, Katie. SeatServe is an enterprise solution, essentially for mobile ordering at venues, and it has a hyper focus on in-seat delivery, which coincidentally is exactly what fans are going to be expecting as we emerge out of this pandemic crisis. So we do offer click and collect as well, which I know people will be far more used to, but there are a number of reasons why click and collect is not forward-looking, and that's really what we want to focus on. So essentially, what we find with click and collect, it's not that efficient. You still need a bar space. It's not that scalable. So if thousands of people place an order, you're essentially just going to be moving queues around. But the final point is the most important one, which is it's not really that compelling for fans. They still have to get up and leave their seat. And what that means is it's not going to get them to change behavior. And for me personally, that's what I think is the biggest problem with match days. Wherever there are queues, it's not because the venue is too small or it doesn't have enough bars. It's because the fans are choosing to behave in the same way at the same time. So the key to it isn't about knocking your stadium down and building a new one. It's about getting better utilization out of your existing infrastructure. And you can only do that by getting fans to change the way that they behave. And that's really the focus of what we do through in-seat delivery.
And then taking that a step further, Patrick, I know when we've spoken before, you've said that SeatServe isn't like, sort of other things out there, and, this whole differential between in-seat service and mobile apps. So perhaps you can just expand on that and tell us, about the USPs of SeatServe.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so I mentioned at the beginning, we were an enterprise solution. So what all that means is that we're not a standalone platform. We're not coming into this space saying, okay, we're here to take over this and that, EPOS and mobile apps. We're not an app provider. We don't do hardware. We're an enterprise solution. And what that means is we can integrate into everything that already exists. So if you have a club app, we want to be in the club app because that's what everybody's already downloaded. That's where everyone's already registered. And that's where all the eyeballs are already. So we can integrate seamlessly into that platform in the same way as, if you have a digital ticketing provider, we could do the same thing. And in each case, we can glean the information that's already there. So the registration details, or if it's ticketing, we already know who you are, but we also know where you're sat. So we can have a really, really seamless user experience. And then on the back end, it's really, really important that you don't just build a platform that's good for fans. It needs to work for the operators as well. So we can integrate into the existing point of sale, be it through stock management or oversight and management more generally. So that's one of our USPs is that we're here to work around your existing infrastructure. And the second one is really part of an extension of in-seat delivery. So it's very easy to take a payment online. Lots of people do it. But the unique dynamics of match days is that you need to have an element of control over those payments. So you can't just fulfill hundreds of orders all at the same time because you're going to get the same issue that bars get at kickoff and at half time, which is not enough capacity to fulfill these orders. So really what it's about is control at scale. And we have a system that can match the capacity that you have in your bars so that you can utilize 100% of the staff that you have available, i.e., at kickoff and halftime, nobody's delivering any orders because that's when you need everybody front of house. But in between those times, you can free up members of staff who are not doing anything, and you can get them to fulfill revenue generating orders to the tune of thousands of orders rather than hundreds. So I suppose those are our two things. We're an enterprise solution, but also we have a time slots feature that people will be very familiar with. Again, coming out of lockdown, everybody's been sat at home ordering things online, choosing delivery slots, and sometimes paying a premium for the premium delivery slots. So the concept itself will be far more familiar with people. We're just expanding that into a high density retail environment that everybody will be more familiar with. And I suppose the only other thing really is that our ambition is to be the one-stop shop for retail on a match day. So we would include merchandise in that, and we would also include hospitality in that, for the reason that, clearly if you're in hospitality and you want table service, we can make that far more efficient. And then when you transfer into your seats and you want in-seat delivery, we can also fulfill that measure as well. So really, as far as retail goes, we want to be the one-stop shop and completely white labeled, so that nobody even knows it's us. It's essentially the incumbent club or caterer. It's their platform, and everybody just funnels all their match day revenues through there.
And then obviously SeatServe were recently involved in these test events that sort of went ahead just before everything sort of was put, the pause button went back on. So obviously you did work there at Harlequins, the Stoop, and also at Kingsholme. So perhaps you can just tell us a bit about what you were doing in those projects, and how the fans found it, and the feedback from the venue, the club, Compass, Freemans, etc.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great experience for us as well. I mean, we wouldn't have chosen for it to have happened this way, but there is an element of necessity being the mother of innovation. And certainly in these two cases, that was certainly what happened. So DCMS sanctioned 2 rugby union pilots back in September. And at the Stoop, we were the exclusive F&B provider. So there are about, just over 2,500 people there. And the only way to order food and drinks was through us. And they gave us a week to set that up, which we managed to do over about 10 to 12 different concessions, because obviously there were reduced capacities, but there was also social distancing, so everyone was spread out throughout the whole venue. So we had to map all the different seats, obviously, but also all the different concessions. So the idea being that if you're sat in one stand, it's not just one menu for the whole ground. If you're sat in one stand, you're going to see the menu that's available to that stand. It's the same way as Uber Eats and Deliveroo. When you tell them where you live, they'll give you a list of the restaurants you can order from. We work in a very similar way. So, but having said that, this was the dream brief for us. We had full control of the bars. We had enough staff to fulfill the anticipated demand, and that was a process that we went through with Compass, where they said to us, this is how many orders we're expecting. What do you need? And we were able to come up with a figure that we thought would match, and we were more or less correct. Which was great. And at the end of the day, we have a ranking system, so a rating system rather. Every order you have to rate out of 5, and we got about 4.5 out of 5, which and we served 50% of the fans. So in groups of 2 or 3, we're guessing we served about everybody, which was fantastic. And to get 4.5 out of 5 with a week's notice, I was pretty pleased with. They were as well. And look, clearly that environment isn't going to stay the same forever. We obviously want more than 20% of the fans to be back in the stands eventually. And as things grow, what we want to try and do is maintain that level of capacity and just convert it into incremental revenue. So again, that concept of drawing fans away from the queues at kickoff and half time, because nobody wants to join a queue. They only do it because they have to. But if you plan ahead and you pre-order, and particularly at the Stoop, we cleared 30% of our total revenue before the gates had even opened. Using our time slot system, where people had to book an order for a specific time slot. Each time slot has a limited capacity. So once you hit that capacity, nobody else can place an order for that time slot. They have to choose one that's earlier or later. So this spreads the demand over the course of the match day, makes sure that the bars are at capacity for throughout the day, as opposed to what happens currently, which is they're very busy at kickoff, they're very busy at half time, and they're very not busy in between. And the same thing happened a week later at Kingsholme. So they had only 1,000 fans, and you mentioned Freemans. Freemans were fantastic. The average delivery time from the bar to the seat was 1.5 minutes, and we know that because we can track every part of that process. So from the order coming in, getting grabbed, getting prepared, and getting delivered, each part of that journey is digital, so we can put a timestamp against it, and we can see all the different metrics around who's fulfilled the most orders, where all the tips go, all these kinds of things that we're not very good at in the UK generally. But if you're a casual matchday member of staff and you're getting tipped for doing extra work, that's going to be an incentive for you to work harder and provide a much better service. And I think we can all agree that the matchday retail dynamic is in need of innovation and modernizing. And for me, click and collect isn't the solution to that. In-seat delivery is the only answer, be that hospitality, general admission, or merchandise. We can cover all three of those boxes.
And obviously that was a nice segue there. You mentioning hospitality there at the end, because obviously come now new dates, March 15th, 16th, you're going to be one of the speakers at the ALSD International event, which is taking place at Anfield, which is obviously a SeatServe client. So perhaps you can tell us, obviously the panel you're involved in is sort of all about technology, and how technology specifically now in the current environment, can give fans a sort of safe and secure feeling to actually return to the stadiums. So perhaps you can just expand on that a bit for us as well, please.
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, there's a couple of things to say really, but I mean, we were discussing, we might not know when fans are going to come back, but we do know that they will. And we do know from the pilot programs that DCMS sanctioned, we do know roughly what things are going to look like when they do. And given that in-seat delivery is included within official government advice now, the first thing I'd say is it's worth talking about now rather than in months down the line when things are going to be very busy and everybody's going to be scrambling around for solutions to this kind of thing. I mean, our experience at Anfield has been fantastic. They've been a client for 3 years, give or take, and in that time we've done a range of different events for them, from concerts, obviously from Premier League football, to concerts, to the Magic Weekend, so totally different environment, rugby league. And then we've opened in a hospitality suite there doing table service, which, everybody talks about staffing. I mean, we just cut the number of staff in a hospitality suite, in a hospitality room down, because the staff are just doing one journey. They're just going from the bar or from the kitchen to the tables. They're not taking orders and they're not waiting for people to decide what they want. So the whole thing is far more efficient. And all that's really changed, to be honest, through technology, is I've just been subbing the word efficient for hygiene, for safety. We know that there is that there's going to be a call for safety measures, and we've proven that we can deliver against those demands, and certainly under reduced capacities, certainly within social distancing. That's the dream brief for us, because it means we can very, very quickly. So firstly, we control all the orders, down based around the capacities that the bar's already set for us, but also we can deliver them very, very easily because there's usually gaps between the rows. So it's the dream environment for us, up until the point where you get to, 40, 50, 60, 80% of capacity. That's when obviously, we're going to struggle to fulfill everything. And we're going to need front of house assistance to take the demand away. But again, if we can help to spread that demand over the course of the match day, then we can do it. And I guess, the final point being around hospitality, we know that with Premier League football, we can't have the situation in theatres where drinks are just left out for people, and you trust them to go around and pick up their order because, it's not the right environment for that. But it can work in hospitality. And we've proven at Man City, for example, that if you have drinks waiting for you on the table that you were at before the game started, it just means that you're not going to join the queue and order a drink. So the bar can pre-pour everything just before half time. Everybody comes in, picks up their drinks. Anybody that's left goes to the bars as normal. It makes the whole process far more efficient, far safer, far fewer touch points. And technology, it's kind of taken for granted, this service now. We're all using Uber Eats, Airbnb. This is just an extension of that on a match day. And I think we'll find that changing people's behaviors is going to be a lot easier than we think once we emerge from this pandemic, because people have been getting used to it. Quite simply, through supermarkets, through other online platforms. It's rife now, and what's happened. We're living in a new world where digital transformation has been accelerated 10 years in the last 10 months. It's it's a really exciting time, and we have to be ready to meet that demand when the time comes.
And finally, Patrick, it's almost, I know it's a bit of a question of looking into a crystal ball in certain respects, but, sort of like you say, we have witnessed a massive shift change in sports tech usage because of the pandemic. And like you say, that has fast forwarded the whole usage. But, sort of when we look forward, how do you think fans, or what kind of technological advancements are fans just going to expect now as the new normal?
Well, I mean, simply, I think they'll want the sports industry to catch up to other industries, and start mirroring the experience that they get in other areas. It's kind of as simple as that. I mean, one thing that I've noticed through the pilot programs that we did, before we were operating on, 5, maybe 10% penetration on a good day, we were seeing upwards of 40, 50% penetration for the pilot programs. And what that means is all of a sudden the platform that everybody's now using becomes an incremental rights package, essentially a sponsorship opportunity. And that's not even talking about the data proposition that comes off the back of it, although clearly, that would be included as part of the wider ecosystem. So, I think the data proposition is always going to be huge, but certainly being able to sponsor the platform, do very conventional activations like promoting different products above the other, branding the runners when they make the deliveries. So, if you're a logistics company, or if you're the pouring rights holder, for example, you want to be responsible for solving, what is a very common pain point for fans on a match day. We've all experienced it, and queuing is consistently the number one complaint that fans have. And in my opinion, venues have been too slow to react to that, because there have been solutions out there. We've been trying to get people to behave in this way for the last 5 years, and it's only it's taken a pandemic to get people to realize that actually there are other ways of doing things. So look, 5 years time, I think this is the kind of thing that would be baked into the service on a match day. I think most things will be digital. I think connectivity will be flawless. The transitions to 5G, it's going to be an incremental process, but all it really does as people do transfer is it takes the pressure off 4G. So 4G and 5G are going to be working in unison, and both are going to be are going to work better as a result. So people always talk to me about connectivity being an issue. It's a temporary problem, and we can sit around and wait for it to be solved, or we can equip ourselves properly and be ready for it when they are. And that's my strong advice to venues. Just don't wait for stuff to happen. There are technologies out there, not just in-seat delivery, but digital ticketing. Get on board with them, because it's how fans want to behave, and you can get a whole lot more out of them if you do indulge them in that way. You're
right, Patrick. I think all the sports venues are going to have to look outside of the sports to, you know, what hotels, bars, luxury restaurants are all doing. So I'm looking forward to picking up the mantle and continuing this conversation come March. And thanks so much for your time.
Thanks, Katie. Really look forward to seeing everyone in March.
Thank you.